I'm Mark the Bass Wizard with thebasswizard.com, and in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of slap bass playing. I want to talk about the players that really started this whole thing and took it to where it is today. Now some of these players you may or may not be familiar with, but that's the whole point of the video. I want to introduce you to players and bass lines that you may not have heard of before. Now I'm not going to talk too much about them because I don't want this video to be an hour, but I'll mention their names, talk a little bit about their contribution to the style, and then play some of my favorite bass lines by them. And the first guy we're going to talk about is, of course, Larry Graham. Now, Larry Graham is known as the founder of slap bass, one of the first guys to ever do it. He was the bass player in Sly and the Family Stone, and then he had his own band called Graham Central Station. And his style was a lot of octaves and a lot of open E stuff. He would play that open E a lot, and I'm going to play two bass lines by him. One is a Sly and the Family Stone song called Thank You, which I heard was the first slap bass line ever recorded. Now, I'm not sure if that's true, so don't quote me on that, but nevertheless, great bass line, great groove. And then after that, I'm going to play one of my favorite bass lines from him, which is a Graham Central Station song called Hair. The next guy we're going to be talking about is Louis Johnson. He really took what Larry Graham was doing to the next level, and they used to call him Thunder Thumbs because he used to play so aggressively with his thumb. And he has a band with his brother called the Brothers Johnson, where you can hear a lot of his bass lines. And he was also a big session player in the 80s, working with guys like Quincy Jones, and he played on a lot of the Michael Jackson stuff. I'm going to play two bass lines by him. One is a Brothers Johnson song, and another one is my favorite bass line from him, which is a Michael Jackson song called Get on the Floor. The next guy we're going to be talking about is Aaron Mills from the band Cameo. Now, I don't know too much about him, but I love his work with Cameo. Some really great bass lines in there. And I'm going to be playing a song called Is This The Way, which is very similar to Larry Graham and all those guys. A lot of octaves, ghost notes, but some really cool stuff in there. So check it out. The next guy I want to talk about is Nathaniel Phillips from the band Pleasure. Now, Pleasure has a song called Glide, which if you haven't heard it, definitely check that out. It has an amazing bass line, and that was the first time I ever heard double stops using the bass line. And what I mean by double stops is he was playing two notes at the same time. He was playing the third. And that just has such a cool sound to it. So I'm going to play that bass line right now, and make sure you check that out. He had some amazing stuff as well. This next bass line is from a Prince song, and I wish I knew who the original bass player that played this was. I've heard people say that it was actually Prince himself playing bass, but I'm not sure if that's the case, so I'm not going to go ahead and make that claim. But a really cool bass line. He actually bends the note and then hammers on, which creates a really cool effect, just an amazing groove. So check this one out. Next guy, of course, Marcus Miller. Can't talk about slap bass without mentioning Marcus. He was a really big session guy back in the 80s, did a lot of work with Miles Davis, David Sanborn, played on a bunch of records, has a bunch of solo records with some amazing stuff in it, and I'm actually going to play a bass line by him called Run for Cover, one of my favorite bass lines by him. I think the original recording was actually a David Sanborn album. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was. And really cool bass line. Check this one out. And the last guy, of course, Victor Wooten, one of the most technically innovative players that I've ever heard. He's the guy who introduced the whole double thumbing concept, double plucking, double thumbing and plucking, and harmonics, tapping, just everything. The guy's amazing. Definitely check him out. And I'm going to play a song by him, which is probably one of the first Victor Wooten songs I've ever heard years ago, and it just completely blew me away. It's a song called You Can't Hold No Groove. Victor Wooten, man. Amazing, amazing stuff. I love the... It's like my favorite part in there. Amazing left-right hand technique. I remember the first time I heard that song, I couldn't believe that was just one guy playing bass. Just incredible. I mean, check out all the Victor Wooten you can find. As far as technique goes, one of the best there is. So that concludes my little slap bass history lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that broadens your horizons a little bit, gives you some ideas of new players and music to check out. If you want to learn more, make sure you check out my slap bass mastery course by either clicking the link in the video or in the description box. And make sure you check out my website, thebasswizard.com, like my Facebook page, subscribe to my channel, all that stuff. Let's stay in touch, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.